Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Manly Mission podcast. This is episode 8. I've been a while for a bit because I was traveling to Umrah. For those of you who don't know, that's a minor pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia in Mecca. So that was an amazing time last week. So I was there. Let me just fix my chair. There we go. I was feeling I was close to the ground. All right, so I was there for about a week or so with my family. That was a really great time, mashallah. So I will be speaking about that maybe this Friday or so. Just kind of giving you a rundown of what we did and the spiritual experience that I had. And really, I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, I mean, I don't have as much hair as before, because one of the things you're supposed to do is shave your head or cut it. Which is part of the experience. So I will be talking about that more on Friday, inshallah. So do look forward to that episode of the podcast. So just before we get started with the topic for today, like I say every time, if you want to get a free 7-day workout plan, you can do that at farhanrana.com/workout. That's FARHANRANA.com/workout. Like I've said many times, it's a free 7-day workout plan. You can get everything that you need in terms of the workouts, some diet advice, and just some bonus stuff I put in there as well. So definitely make use of that because I think it's a good resource for you guys who want to get in shape. Um, all right, so for the topic for today, I think I titled it as "What is a winner's mindset?" Um, and the way I want you guys to think about this is, first of all, I think the first step in all of this is really having absolute clarity in what you want out of life. Um, you have to be driven towards something, and the perspective I'm coming from is that your life isn't perfect. No one's life is. And you might look at someone who's like a millionaire or like someone who's really killing it in life, and you're like, well, I mean, they're obviously a winner because they have everything that they could ever want. It's not like that. At every point in your life and at every point in everyone else's life, there's always something that you can always be working towards. There's always the next level. There's always the next frontier, the next challenge that you can overcome and become a better person because of that. And what's the price of not doing this, of not going after your dreams and having this winner kind of mindset or mentality towards life? What's going to happen is that if you stay the same way that you are today, if you just go through the motions of getting up for work or for school and just keep going that way for the next 10 years, maybe you get a job or whatever, you get like a little promotion, you move up a little in the social ladder. I mean, fundamentally, you're still going to be the same person in terms of your mindset, in terms of like how you tackle challenges, of how you approach life, of getting to the next level. Like 5 to 10 years down the line, you're going to be the same kind of person when it comes to all of this. So, I mean, the perspective I like to have about this is that at the end of your life, like it's gonna be the end of your life. I mean, we can go into more like spirituality and like talk about that in another episode, but I mean, just looking at it purely from a material perspective, your life is gonna end, and the regrets you'll have at that time, you don't want them to be about not doing the things that you know you could have had a shot at. You could have done something really bold with your life and really not so much that you make a name out of yourself or you become famous or like you become remembered by people. That's not the whole point of this. It's really just knowing in your heart that, yeah, I did something amazing with my life. And I didn't play small, and I didn't have this kind of limiting self-belief when it came to my dreams and what I wanted to accomplish. Um, so let me give you some examples. If you want to earn, for example, earn multiple six figures a year. You want to live in a big family house because you've never had that kind of an environment as you were growing up, you always lived in a small place. You want to retire your parents. You want to travel around the world. You want to give back and create schools or charities or really give back to the world in a meaningful way. These are all like big goals. They're not impossible, and they're not even like that hard if you think about just like in terms of the monetary value you need to devote to each of these goals. But just having this sense of like, okay, I can actually achieve these. That's the first step. That's like honestly step zero of like achieving any of this. It's really understanding that you can have these goals, and there's no use being modest about your dreams. Like I don't get the whole like I just want to play it small. I don't want to be too big. I don't want to. Maybe it's an American thing. Maybe it's also coming from my sense of like, okay, I've done something with my life. I've started this podcast. I've done something in the gym. You know, maybe it's coming from like a prior built up experience of like actually doing something. So that's my perspective on this. But I mean, even if you didn't have this, it would like you, there's no use being modest about your dreams. Like you ask any kid what they want to be, they'll never tell you, yeah, I just want to work in HR. I want to be an HR manager or something. Or like, and nothing wrong with HR managers or people who work in administrative roles. I mean, they run the company in terms of like doing their roles perfectly. I'm just saying in terms of ambition, like you ask any kid who has any level of ambition, and they're gonna tell you, yeah, I want to be an astronaut, or yeah, I want to be a doctor, or want to, I don't know, be like a scientist or something. They'll give you those kind of answers because they don't know what it actually entails to do that, but they have this kind of, you look at kids, they have this kind of crazy, like diluted sense of confidence. They're like, yeah, I can do it. I can win Nobel Prize. Yeah, I can research like the Atlantic Ocean or something crazy like that. It's really just tapping into that childlike level of a confidence, which like I think we lose over the many years of schooling and education. And we're told that, yeah, I mean, you're lucky to get like a 60K job, a 60K a year job, and you're lucky to live in a suburban like two bedroom home or something like that. Um, it's just really just taking a step back from all of these sort of like realities that we've come to live in, and just really understanding that there's so much more in life, and you don't really need to upend your life at all. You don't need to quit your job or like sell your home or anything like that and go live in like a forest for like a year, and then you don't need to do any of that. It's really just about changing what's up here in your mind and really taking the next steps from that perspective. Like you can, everything in your immediate environment could more or less stay the same. It's really just reigniting that ambition and asking yourself the very important question: what more can I do? What more can I achieve? What more have I not been achieving? And how do I take the next steps to do that? Um, and you know, for anyone who's a believer who is a Muslim, you know, when we ask Allah, when we ask God for anything, we're told to not ask small. I mean, we're supposed to have big dreams. Because when you look at people who did great things in history, whether they were, you know, from a secular or from even from like a religious perspective, like they did big things because they knew that they could do them, and they asked God for that help. Like they didn't play it small, even in when it came to doing like spiritual work. So like for us who, you know, maybe we don't want to do like change anything in the world or like change the world necessarily. It's just about really taking our own lives to the next step. We shouldn't play small either, even if we're believers, and we shouldn't. We should ask God really for what we want out of life. Um, the next step, and this is going to be, how should I put it? It's going to take some time to really get comfortable with this. And the idea is you need to sacrifice, and part of this sacrifice is you're going to be alone. Not maybe physically, you're going to have people around you, but you're going to be alone in the kinds of ideas and the kind of energy and the kind of like your what do I want to say with this? The kind of mindset that you have towards your life. You're going to be alone in that sense for a while. Maybe some people will come along later in your journey, and they'll encourage you, and they'll push you, and you'll create like a kind of a community around yourself. And maybe it will even be physically alone. Maybe you'll be that kind of person who's just like, yeah, I want to do crazy things in my life, and people will be like, yeah, he's kind of weird. I just want to hang out with my friends. Um, I just want to like an easy, chill life. Like I don't know why he's bothering himself with like working out 6 days a week. I don't know why he's bothering with like doing all this kind of stuff. Like, it's gonna be like that. You might think like, oh, my friends are amazing, you know, like we're in high school, we're best buddies, and like we actually do work out and we actually do all this kind of stuff. But when you decide to level yourself up even more, some people, like, it'll just be the nature. You won't resonate with them, they won't resonate with you. It will just come to that. And I want to give you this warning, this um, basically a red flag in terms of like, okay, this is gonna happen, so you better be prepared for it. Because when I started out, like I didn't think with this. It was weird because I didn't think this was gonna happen. I think more realistic what happened was that I didn't even care that this was gonna happen because I'd always had some level of ambition my whole life. So it wasn't like I was doing something like this for the first time. And I'd been like, I'm not like a super social person or like have like hanging out with friends all the time or being somewhere around people. So for me, like I've always been not so much like a loner. I don't want to sound like that, but just more introverted, maybe more just focused on my own thing, and I don't really care if people are doing, if they're hanging out or whatever. So for me, it wasn't too much of a um, like a shock, like oh, people aren't like around me and like they're not supporting me. I was kind of already used to that in my own personal life, and so what tends to happen is that and I'm speaking from experience, obviously, we get fired up about the thing we want to do. It's this project that we really want to create, like a personal project, or like in my case, it's starting a podcast or creating a business around men's self improvement, or just going to the gym and really seeing, um, where you can be 1 to 2 years later in terms of like a really good physique. You get really excited about the stuff and you just want to start attacking it. You just go for it. Um, and that's good. I mean, you want to take action. I'm always going to be an advocate for action over just sitting around planning, researching, um, deciding like what you should do. I mean, I would rather someone just go to the gym like 3 days a week and just really attack you, having not so much of an idea of what they're doing, but over time they really get that sense of like, okay, this is working, this is not working, and course correcting from that perspective of experience. But I want you to consider that there may be some things that either just before you're going to start, they're going to come in your way, or when you get started and you have some momentum, they're going to come up as roadblocks. So I want to give you those things because there were impediments, there were roadblocks for me as well. So I want to give them to you beforehand. First question you need to ask yourself: are there any addictions or vices or bad habits that are keeping you down? And the way you'll know that they're keeping you down is because it is from the perspective of, as I go through my daily or weekly kind of flow of life, do these things drain me of my energy? Do they take away my focus? Do they make me more sad, more depressed, more anxious? All these kind of things, or they're just you waste of time and they're not really doing anything useful for my life. Um, so you need to fix those things first before you do anything crazy ambitious or even like moderately ambitious. And for me, an example is that I've stopped playing video games. Like I used to play a lot when I was a kid. Up until kind of recently, I was just like anytime a new game came out on the PS4, like that first week or so, it was just like okay, I'm gonna play for like 3 or 4 hours, whatever. It's just I like playing, so it's not gonna be too much of a thing. But over time, and especially as I came back from this trip, I've just kind of realized like the point of a lot of these video games nowadays isn't so much to have fun. It's just really this really long list of like quests and like side quests and all this kind of like BS. And you're just like doing that. And I was tempted to play, what was it, Horizon, like the new game, like when it came out like 2 or 3 weeks ago. When I came back from the trip, I was like, let me just play just to unwind. As soon as I loaded it up, and I was just like, why do I have like 25 different quests I need to do? Um, I could just like do actual quests in my own life and really create something tangible in my own existence instead of like in the virtual realm. I mean, that's not going to do anything for me anyway. Besides giving me some dopamine and like make me feel good, like okay, like I did something productive in the virtual realm. So that's something that I stopped doing. And really, I don't intend to play them too much. Maybe if there's like if some of my friends are getting together and there's like a Nintendo or like something like that going on, I'll play. But at that point, it's like more of a social event anyway. So it's not so much about the game. It's about like okay, I'm around friends. We're having a good time. We're laughing. We're having a good time. So it's going to be more along those lines. My point with saying all of this is that you need to look at your own life. If you're addicted to a substance, if you are like just spending like hours on social media every night after you get back from like work or school, if you have anything that's impeding your life and getting in your way, you need to be conscious of that and take steps to remove that before you get started on any of this kind of stuff. And your immediate reaction to this might be like, well, like, shouldn't I get started with something ambitious, like put something positive in my life, and just hope that these things go away because I'm doing so much more good? I'm not gonna say that's not gonna work, but like you'd be much better off cutting off the one or two things that are really bugging you down and keeping you down before you get started. You'll just have way more energy, way more clarity, way more momentum to really tackle the things that you want to do. So it's only to your benefit to take, honestly, maybe even like 2 weeks, a month to really focus on this, get your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, all of this, under control, and then start from like a clean slate, so to speak, and really have momentum after that point. The next question along these lines is, then this is going to be more like in terms of like your emotional health, is like, do you have self-hatred or self-pity? Um, and these are huge. Um, like the reason I'm like kind of thinking about this is because back in 2020, when I had some idea of like, okay, I want to start like an online business because everything was in lockdown. I had so much more free time because I was working from home. One book that I read, and I think I've mentioned in a previous episode, is Psycho-Cybernetics. And it has like a weird name. You think it might be like a sci-fi thing. It's totally not. It's really about delving into your self-image and how you think about yourself, how you perceive yourself, what roadblocks you have created from either your childhood or just like experiences, and how do you fix that. So it's a really great book. You should definitely check it out. I might even leave a link in the description of the YouTube video. But talking about self-hatred and self-pity, these are huge because if you have any amount of hate or like even regret over like the wrong choices you made or experiences or people that you shouldn't have been around, and you're just like, okay, I mean, why did I do that? I was like so stupid. Um, you really need to take some time to really get over those and understand that your mindset when it comes to all of this is going to play a huge role. And I can say from experience, like every time I decide to do an episode podcast or even just script a podcast, if I had the mindset of like, oh, no one's gonna listen, no one cares. I mean, why do I even put this up? Like the last time I tried to do something productive, like no one cared. I put I put up like for example, I put up like an event at my school. No one came. It was just like I was just like feeling sad after that. Why should I care? Like these kind of things, if you have them still like up in your head and they're like they're roadblocks for you, it's going to be a very difficult time for you to have any kind of progress when you decide to do something that involves having a winner mindset. Um, and honestly, the way I kind of got out of this limiting self belief and not believing in myself and not having that sense of confidence, was just really being grateful for what I have in life. Like I looked at everything that I have going for me in terms of like my health, my environment, the opportunities I have, the time I have, the spare capital that I can invest into my things, into my business, and really just like asking why can't I succeed? People with much less than me, people who maybe don't have the same kind of drive, maybe they don't have the same kind of I know it sounds bad, but like intelligence, or just in terms of like being able to put ideas together and create something out of that. Maybe they don't have that ability, but what they've done is just they've still gone forward and they've created massive difference in their own lives. And there's no reason for me to not do that. And really reading this book, there's no better way for me to explain what this book did for me besides just telling you to read it, because there were parts in it in that book. Like, I was reading them, I was like, this is like 110% exactly how I feel right now. I can't remember the exact passage. There were like a couple of them that came up. It was just like, this is exactly how I think on a day-to-day basis. This is so crazy. So definitely that would be my first resource to really go into that book. But assuming you don't want to do that, or you should, but assuming you just want to do some own reflection and you want to think about your own circumstance, really just ask yourself the very simple question, like, why not me? Like, why not me? Why can't I get something amazing in my life? Why can't I do something amazing? Going back to what I said in the very beginning, you can't play small with your life. Like, sometimes like I look back at my own life, and I'm just like, if I had just done, and this is not coming from a place of regret. I mean, I'm grateful for all the experiences I had because they drove me to this point. But it's just like a point of reflection. Is just like, if I had just done a little bit more, like I could have been way more successful or like more accomplished or whatever you want to call it. And it really just came to my self beliefs. It wasn't something physical or tangible in my environment that was pushing me down and was like, oh, you can't do this, or it's like maybe you have that in your life, and maybe that's something that you need to tackle. But for most of us, I would say 95% of us, 99% of us, that's not going to be the case. It's going to be your own mentality. It's going to be what you have going on between your ears that's really going to hold you back, and you really need to work on that. And this is going to sound cliche and like kind of like one of those Instagram posts, but you really need to have positivity in your life. If you can't even be positive about your daily day-to-day activities, if you can't find joy in the things you do, I mean, that could mean a couple of things. Maybe you're just like your dopamine receptors are fried from like all the bad stuff you do, or you just need to really be grateful and um, think about what you have going for you in your life and why you have a duty to yourself to succeed. And the next point on this, maybe a lot of this don't have this going as a roadblock, but do you have negative people in your life who doubt you or make fun of you for doing something amazing in your life? And this could be family or friends. And honestly, if you have someone like this, even someone who's slightly doing this, maybe you decide to, for example, you decide to start working out, and you make it a point to tell your friends like, hey, come out, work out with me, or like, hey, I'm gonna do this. Let's go hike or whatever you want to do. And they just don't really give you the same kind of attention or the same kind of support as you might have gotten when you were just doing like mindless stuff. Maybe that's a point, not to cut them off or be angry at them or be, lecture them or anything. It's just really just understanding that they're not at the point where you are currently. So it would be a waste of your own time and energy to convince them to come along. Maybe what might happen is that once you get to a certain level of success and a certain level of achievement, they're like, okay, like, yeah, this guy was actually onto something. Maybe let me ask him and see how he did it. That's the best case scenario, and that's going to be kind of rare. What's going to happen most of the time is like people who just don't support you, they're just not going to support you even then. They're going to hate you even more at that point because they're like, I didn't believe in this guy. I didn't think he could do it, and he actually did it. And now I hate his guts for like actually doing it. Um, so that, I mean, I'm just giving you guys this as a fair warning, and to be aware of this, because these three things that I talked about, your bad habits, your mindset, and bad company. These things are going to come in your way, and they're going to chip away at what you will be developing to this point as your winner's mindset. So keep this in mind for sure. Um, they're going to come up for sure in some way. Um, so now that you've under, understood this and you kind of have an awareness of your pitfalls, um, I want to touch on the point of like what it means to be alone and be sacrificing the things you want most. This is obviously by no means an easy process. This is not going to be something that, okay, you wake up one day and you're like, okay, I'm prepared to sacrifice my sleep. I'm prepared to sacrifice my sugary foods, or like, my time on Netflix or video games, and I'm going to turn into this like super productive person. It's not going to be like that. It will be like I said in the very beginning, a course correction. You're gonna take a couple of steps in the right direction. You're gonna fall back because of something you did, and then you're gonna be like, okay, maybe that wasn't the best idea. Keep going forward. It's gonna be this kind of thing where like you're constantly improving along the way, and that's the best way to do it. I mean, that's the only way you're gonna get anything done. Um, and it's just like when I talk about sacrifice, a lot of people, like even myself, like I didn't truly understand what that meant So let me give you guys an example from like when I decided to start working out and becoming stronger, what that entailed. Um, so after work, it would just mean like, okay, as soon as I'm done from work, I need to go to the gym. I don't care how tired I am. Maybe I'll just have a cup of coffee and I'll be good to go. Um, I couldn't just come home and just lay in my bed and play video games and just like sit there. When it came to eating, I mean, my eating habits weren't like too bad, but it was just like having more of a conscious focus. Of, okay, like I can't really have a sweet croissant or something like that. I need to have like more protein, more whole foods, and really dial my diet in. When it came to recovery, it was like, okay, I can't just stay up late until like 12 a.m. Just on my phone. I need to get my 8 hours of sleep or whatever, and be in a rested state so my body can recover and put them, build a muscle and all that good stuff. And every time you want to make, these choices, at first they're gonna be very hard. At first you're gonna be like, okay, like I'm just so battered after work. I just want to go home and just go to sleep. Like I don't want to deal with anything. Gym for like 45 minutes, an hour. I mean, that's just like, why would I want to do that? Um, so it's just understanding that these things are going to be hard at first, but if you just keep tackling this and you have that, going back to the winner's mindset, you just like, I have to do this. This is a choice that I'm making for my future. It's for my benefit. You're Once you have that mindset in your head, you're just gonna be like, okay, like let's just go. Let's just make this happen. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna be you're gonna be yelling at yourself internally for doing this to yourself. But over time, you're gonna start enjoying the things that you thought were like these big sacrifices, and they'll just be a part of your life, like they have in my case in a lot of things. Um, so the last thing that I want you guys to think about, and I think for some of you, I think this will give you a little bit of motivation and will really will really give you a little bit more direction when it comes to achieving these things. Is your end goal for a lot of these good habits that you want to do, like these achievements you want to have in your life, is you want to become a leader who inspires others. Not so much in the sense that you set out to be a leader or you set out to inspire others. That's not the point. That's not what I'm trying to tell you guys. What I'm telling you guys is that when you're on this journey, when you're making the right moves in the right direction, there's always going to be someone who's silently watching you, and silently you'll probably never meet them. You'll probably never know who they are. But they'll be watching you and they'll secretly be wishing for you to succeed, because that will be their confirmation, their green light that, okay, I can do this too. It's just how it goes. And I know this is true because I used to look at a lot of people when I wasn't working out or when I wasn't doing anything like super productive. I used to look at people on YouTube and be like, okay, I mean, this guy, like, he looks kind of jacked. I mean, he's talking about fitness and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, he's done something. He's more or less similar to me. I mean, there's nothing too. He's not like a genetically gifted or anything like that. I mean, if he's done it, I can do it too. And I mean, he was being a leader. He was inspiring me, and he will probably never know who I am. It's just how it goes. And another thing I want to talk to you guys about on this topic is you need to think more than just yourself. This is not just about you. When you look at the very simple example of like getting fitter and having a more athletic body, it's not just about yourself. Sure, I mean, you'll look good, you'll feel good. I mean, you'll be proud of what you've done, and it'll be like a nice enhancement to your own life. But just think about the people that you have in your life who will be inspired by that. Maybe you have like a younger brother, or you have a group of friends, and they've never seen someone who's had an athletic body. They've never seen someone who's lifted an X amount at the gym and actually done it safely. They've never seen someone who actually looks healthy and actually can perform in life and doesn't have back pain at 30 and like has the energy levels of like a 75-year-old, and they're just like sitting around, not being productive, even though they're in their late 20s. I mean, you don't know who's going to be inspired, who's going to look at you and be like, I mean, yeah, that guy did it, so like maybe I can too. It's just like understanding that it's not just about you. So at any point, if you feel like I don't want to do this, this is too hard, people don't support me, all this kind of like excuses that you're giving yourself. I mean, you're just being selfish at that point. Like, why would you not want to support someone? Like, maybe like indirectly, maybe not coaching them or anything. It's just like, why would I not want to inspire someone who's struggling worse than I am? At least I'm taking some steps towards my own improvement. This person who maybe I'll never know, they need me to succeed because that's their only way to find any kind of motivation. Like, the reason I'm getting a little passionate about this is because I didn't think about this at all. Like, whenever I felt bad, or I was like, what's the point of working out today? I mean, I've had like a bad day. I feel crappy. I'm like borderline depressed or anything. Like, I was being selfish in that moment because now that I've started talking about fitness and like being, the best version of yourself. I mean, I just know from the people who reached out to me and like who are being inspired by me. I mean, I'm just like, it was so crazy and it was so selfish for me to think that way. Then you might be like, oh, like that's just how I'm feeling. I'm just feeling depressed. I just can't do it. That's no excuse, man. That's no excuse. It takes steps to fix that. If it's a true like problem, I mean, I've laid out some of the steps that you need to take. Then fix it. I mean, do that. Like, I don't see like why we need to be so like self-centered and be like, oh, like if I'm feeling bad and then if I can't do it, I mean, what's the point? Having this like really nihilistic view of life, I mean, that's this no way to go about it. Like, your best case scenario with all of this is that you get to a really great position in life and you've brought other people along with you. You've become a leader. And at that point, if you were like, oh, I was feeling so lonely and I had no one to support me, you've just like, without, maybe consciously or like unconsciously, you just created a tribe around you. You have people who look up to you, and you can reach out to, you can feed off their energy, and you can look up to them if they're doing something slightly different and improving in their own ways. So it's a win-win scenario for you, man. I mean, why would you not want to take that first step in your own life, get some solid results, and bring people up with you? Like, if you just want to be purely selfish, it's a benefit to you, man. It's a benefit for you to have people around you who support you. Even if you don't really care that much about like them improving or them getting better, if you truly want to be selfish, I mean, it's helping you. So I want you guys to think about this, and a kind of final point on this is like, as a man, you need to be a leader in your own life. Like, starting like first and foremost, you need to lead yourself, and you need to be committed to the choices that you make. And I made a Twitter post about this. You guys will probably see this on my Instagram and Twitter. Like, step zero of like having a winner's mindset or achieving anything good in your life is keeping your own promises to yourself. It's really that simple. And I know I'm not perfect. I haven't, I can't say like I keep my promises 100%. That's, I'm obviously working on that. But it's just like, if you have promised yourself to do a certain amount of things every week or every day, and you don't do them, not because something came up. I mean, we always say like, oh, life came up and like something happened, and that's like, it doesn't happen too much. And even if it does happen, you can find ways to still do the things that you promised yourself to do. Maybe they won't be perfect. Maybe they'll be subpar. Maybe they'll be just be like, okay, this is like, I just did it just for the sake of doing it. But you still did it. You still kept your promise. That's the most important thing. As a man, as a leader, you need to keep your promises to yourself first and foremost, because that only improves your own life. If you keep your promises, for example, to hit the gym 3 to 4 times a week, and you do it consistently week in, week out, then you're the one who's benefiting from it. If you don't do it, no one else is losing out. It's only you. It's only to your benefit if you actually do it. So I know this was a bit of a longer, more of a rant kind of episode, but I mean, this is, if anyone's listening to this and you feel like, oh, well, why is he being so overbearing, and like, why is he telling me like he's my dad or something? This is coming from a place of love, because all of these concepts, all of these things that I've talked about, I got bits and pieces of this from my own family, from YouTube, from people in my own life, but I never had someone sit me down and tell me like, okay, if you want to have a winner's mindset, this is what it comes down to. This is what you need to do. These are the practical steps you need to take. If you have roadblocks or distractions in your own life, this is what you need to fix. I never had someone tell me and sit me down and be like a big brother and tell me that this is what you need to do to actually get something done in your life. So see it from that perspective. See me as your brother, someone who wants the best for you, someone who looks out for you. I'm not doing this to boost my own ego and be like, oh, I told people to improve, and I'm such a big shot and I can tell people what to do. That's not the whole point. I never want to make someone feel like I'm better than them, in the sense that I can tell you what to do and I can be overbearing and exert my own influence or anything like that. That's not the whole point. If you were sitting in front of me, if you were literally sitting in front of me and we had a conversation right now, I would be speaking to you in the same exact way because I care about you. Like, I know how much greatness I have in myself. I haven't even scratched the surface. If you think I've done something amazing, I haven't done anything right now. This is this is 0.001, like the version 001 of 0.001 of myself. I haven't done anything right now. And if you are looking at yourself and you're like, I haven't done absolutely anything, like at least for Hani, he's done something, I haven't done anything. I'm speaking to you directly. I'm telling you, you can do as much as me, even more, if you just believe in yourself. It's really that simple. If you just believe in yourself and if you just take this practical steps, it's simple to get a stronger body. It's simple to increase your income. It's simple to have and attract a good relationship. It's simple to improve your relationship at home with your family. It's simple to do all of these things. It's not easy though. The steps are the steps are simple. Do A, B, C, D. You'll get result X, Y, Z. It's not easy to do it, and I think I hope I've conveyed some of that when I was talking about the roadblocks. It's simple to give up the bad habits, but it's not going to be easy. Every time you're going to do it, if you've been conditioned to them, it's going to be a hard thing. It's going to be a really hard thing. You're going to be sitting in your bed and you're going to be like, I wish I could just stay up on my phone, but I need to sleep. You're going to have that internal battle with yourself for a good 30 minutes before you decide to go one way or the other. It's simple what you need to do, but it's not going to be easy. So that's the episode for today, guys. Like I said, I know this was a bit more of a rant, a bit more of a tough love session, but it's really just coming from a place of love, and I really wish the best for you guys. So we'll wrap it up right there. Like I said in the very beginning, I do have a free 7-day workout plan, which has day by day what you need to do, has some meal advice, have some, what you need to know in terms of nutrition, some recovery, all that good stuff. It's like a good PDF of what you need to do to save it on your phone. I get nothing from it, just your email address and some marketing emails, some really helpful advice every week. So go do that. It's a simple free thing for you to get, and hopefully you'll help. So like I said, we'll wrap it up right there. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to episode 8 of the Melly Mission podcast. And I'll see you guys soon, very soon actually, because I'm planning to do more of these per week. But until then, keep crushing you guys.